up, everyone? I'm Jay, this is Comfy Fat, and welcome to another little episode of Jay Learns Things. I'm here with my friend Tay, and she is going to teach me how to photograph. I don't want to say photography because I feel like that takes a lot longer than what we're doing right now. Tay, what pronouns?
She and her. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it is at HeyBoudie, B-O-U-D-I-E.
For this episode, we are hanging out at Jungle House Goods, which is this shop that our friend Rachel owns in Lawrence, Kansas, and it is absolutely gorgeous. If you want to see another episode of Jay Learns Things where our friend Rachel teaches me how to like pot plants and shit, let me know in the comments. Let's get started. Do we start with like setting the scene?
Yeah, I think that's like one of the most important things is like if you have a certain look you're going for, and we know that Corissa is like an earthy babe, so that's why I was like, well, this would be freaking perfect.
We have our model Corissa here, and she's gonna be doing that model thing so I can learn how to be a photographer.
So Jay will be shooting with my A7 III, and I will have my A7R III, which are really similar as far as like settings and stuff, so hopefully it'll just be kind of easy for me to guide them through it while we take pictures. So one of the things with composition that I always look at is like, what can you put around your model to make the photo look more interesting? So like one of the cool things like over there is Corissa can be like directly like in the center of it.
Yeah.
And we can have like stuff like kind of surrounding her. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna step this way for a second, and I just wanna watch you.
Oh.
I just wanna see what you wanna do. Like I wanna see like where you would put Corissa.
Okay, I would put her in the center.
Okay.
Because we like symmetry.
Yeah.
Ooh, it looks so pretty.
So just focus and shoot.
How do you guide the model to like do things that look good?
So normally what I'll do, because I'm more of like an interaction-based photographer rather than like a really posy person, is I'll say like, oh, I'd like to see you like interact with like this plant, or like if it's time to switch and I'm like, oh, maybe we could do something like where we really show off your hips, or like I want to do something where it shows off like your frame.
Okay.
Because especially like being someone who is like really striving towards like body positive boudoir, I don't want anybody to ever feel like they have to hide a part of themselves.
Right.
So maybe like even if it is something maybe you're not comfortable with, I'm like, well, let's just take a few, and you never know how you'll feel about it later.
Right.
So I'll be like, yeah, like you might not like your belly, but like, why don't we just do like a cute one like this, and maybe you can like see some of it.
Right.
Or like maybe you don't like your butt, but you know what? Turn around and show that tushy for a couple pictures.
So let's get a couple different angles of that jumpsuit. What is it?
This is a swimsuit.
This is a swimsuit. So I know that you kind of market yourself as being like a body positive photographer. How did you get to that point? How did you decide that's what you wanted to do? And is that unique in this field?
When it comes to being body positive in a space that can be so toxic, I think that it is a balance. I think when everyone starts like photography, unless you start and like know exactly what you want, you start very broad, and then your view starts to narrow, and you find out what you really love and what you're passionate about, and then that's what you do. And I think that's when you become successful, is when you're like, this is my thing. So it started off with me just taking pictures, and then I was like, I love this friend and I would love to photograph them, and they're like, I've never thought about seeing myself that way. And then you take more pictures and you take more pictures, and then you start to become more ingrained in the community, and you see that every photographer is taking pictures of very thin, pretty white girls, blonde hair, all of the stuff, and I'm just like, not that I don't want those people to come to me.
Because they have the money.
Right. But I don't want those people to be my client base in general, because I want to be a place where other people feel safe to come, because there's not a lot of that.
Do you think these look good from here?
Yeah, I like it. Let me see what you got.
Okay.
I feel like you even have like a different perspective than me. Yes!
Are you sure?
Yeah. So you're still getting a little bit of the vent?
Yeah.
So why don't you try shooting vertical? So like just turn.
I forgot about that possibility. Oh my god, I love this.
As far as like a standard photo and then like editing it, I feel like there's kind of a stark difference that maybe like not a lot of people know, because your camera, and without getting into too many technicalities, has basically two settings for taking pictures. And one is like your basic JPEG, which is what every computer can handle and what you upload on the internet day after day. And then like with pro cameras, like with what Jay and I were just shooting with, they have raw edits. And when you do that, it's basically a bunch of information kind of put together, and it flattens the image, is kind of what we say about it. I'm looking at this flat image that's not full of life the way that it was when I was shooting something. And that's another reason why you'll hear people say like, I don't want to give you the unedited photos. It doesn't represent me. Sometimes there's like things in the background that I just want to take out. Sometimes like I forgot to move something. Most of the time I forgot to move something. So yeah, I just think it's like really important, I think, to like get what the final vision is, because anybody can take a camera and snap a picture. And yeah, there's a lot that goes into like that thought, like what we were talking about with composition and stuff like that. But there's also a lot that happens on the end that makes it your work. When you're doing like good depth of field shots. So there's always like a foreground and a background and like a middle ground in your photos.
Right.
So what you would want to do, and this is one of my favorite things to do to kind of just grab more interest in your photos, is you basically find something to shoot behind. Corissa would be the middle ground, and then there's also still a background.
Okay.
And so you put all those elements together, and it gives you something to really look at.
Okay.
So for example, it starts to blur
Yeah.
this, but then we see Corissa in focus, and then the background's also blurred.
Right.
So it just kind of gives it like a little bit more interest.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So like there's like that foreground and then that middle ground and that background we kind of talked about, just to bring some more interest to it. So the leaves aren't like as in focus, and like I can play with that and I can come forward, but do you see that now those like leaves are in focus and Carissa's not really? And then if we come back, it brings more interest to her again.
It looks so good.
Yeah, right? And it's like one of my favorite things to do, and it's so easy. And the texture changes just depending on what you shoot through. So like if we did this, but see like how it changes the texture a little, and you can like put it up here and like shoot through it. So like it's just,
This is so cool.
it's like a really easy tip, and it's like something that can make like your feed look more interesting too.
I feel like I'm needing to learn skills like this, like little different things to like vary it up with the photos I take for her.
Yeah.
And that's like an easy way that I'm actually like really excited about. to
Yeah,
start
and you
doing.
just like bring something up. I think one of the good things like with the Sony is being able to have that flip out screen for people like Jay and I who have terrible knees. And so I used to like get on the ground and I was crawling after toddlers, and I can't do that. There's like a whole network of visually impaired photographers who are more talented than anything I could ever do with my life. And it's amazing how like your other senses work to help you create beautiful art. There's lots of ways like to be accessible. So there are people who are just like in low income places and cameras are expensive.
Yeah.
But like kids can learn on like small cameras. Like you can go to a thrift store, buy a small camera, get a couple rows of film, and just go out and do your thing. And I think it's a good way for people to express themselves.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Tay, for teaching me how to photograph things.
Every week, you have no idea what it is you're learning.
Every week. I just don't want, I feel like it's weird to say like thanks for teaching me how to be a photographer, because like there's a lot of training involved in that, and you can't do it in 1 hour. Like there's no way. Thank you so much, Tay, for teaching me how to take photos. I had a blast. I hope that you all enjoyed. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And where can we find you again?
At HeyBoudie, HeyBoudie.
All right, thanks y'all. Hearts and rainbows. Bye.
Bye.